welcome to Thanks Academy, the podcast where we watch all the Best Picture winners of all time in random order with random friends. And today's random friend is Ella Gale.
I know, slightly less random, maybe?
Well,
I don't know.
You could only be randomly here within a small frame of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
So glad. Thanks for flying in.
Thrilled just to be nominated to do this podcast.
Nobody's done that one yet.
Really?
No.
Shocking.
Oh my God. Well, thank you for your humility and also the humble brag that, you were nominated. I always thought that's how that always reads to me. It's like, just thrilled to be nominated. Just reads to me like the ultimate humble brag.
It is,
like, reminder that I was nominated is how that
but
comes
also,
across.
if you're not thrilled to be nominated, you're also an asshole.
That's true. Yeah, if you're like bummed to be nominated.
So if you're nominated, you're an asshole, regardless of how you feel about it.
I think you get one of two directions you can go. You can either go, I'm so good for awards that I will consistently throughout my career apply the rule that these suck and I hate them.
Yeah.
I respect that. Like, take the Fiona Apple route, that's fine. Or you can just go total conceit. I don't like that everybody sits in the middle like, oh, these are all so, it's just great to be a part of and it's all so magical. Not really. We know it isn't. We know you want to win. Right?
Sure, yeah. It's weird that you can identify even with an Oscar nominee who wants to win. Because you're like, yeah, if I was there, I would also want to just win.
I wouldn't be thrilled to be nominated at all. I'd be nervous.
I know, but then you're like, that's so much above anyway, yeah.
Well, I'd rather not be nominated. Because then you don't have to worry about winning.
Right.
That's my whole thing about, like, getting a callback or getting into, like, the final round of something. That sucks worse sometimes than just being eliminated and, like, knowing you did the best you could.
Yeah, I was at AFF this weekend and my script was a semi-finalist, but not a finalist. And so, but I also realized people were talking and I just went and enjoyed my weekend where all the finalists were, like, anxious about what was going to happen on Saturday.
See, exactly. See, it wasn't a thrill to be nominated, was it?
So I had all my bad feelings, like, a week ago. And everybody else had to have their bad feelings in the middle of the conference.
But also you get to say, well, I was a semifinalist, and not like I just got flat out rejected and win anyway.
Yes, and people get to not care about that. So
hey, nobody cares about anything. That's why we have podcasts.
Yes, absolutely.
Which people care dearly about.
Extremely, yes.
We should talk about this movie we're going to watch. Do you remember what it is?
No, I cheated a little bit and told somebody I was doing The Apartment, and they said it was about New Year's.
It's about New Year's? Okay, that's good. That's not too much.
All I can envision is, like, it's an apartment and it's New Year's, and I'm just imagining, like, a tragic comedian's party.
Just, like, everybody kind of knows each other, but who likes each other is still up in the air kind of thing? Or what do you mean by tragic comedian's party?
Just, like, I'm envisioning, like, a house party, but, like, in somebody's, like, smallish apartment.
Ooh, okay.
So they're, like, 1 or 2 bedroom apartment.
Okay.
Because it's easy to have a lavish New Year's Eve party, but, like...
Yeah. It's 1960.
Yeah, were apartments glamorous or sad then?
I really don't know. I have this hunch that it takes place in New York. Or Chicago, or something that was a big city in 1960.
Yeah, I bet it's not Minnesota.
Right, because I just don't think people lived in apartments as, like, de rigueur until, like, the 80s, maybe. I feel like everybody had lived with your parents in your house, or you got a house, or something like that. Apartments kind of weren't a thing, I thought, unless you were in a huge city. But I don't know.
That makes sense to me, but I also have no idea.
I have no historical
Because people
context.
lived in, like, boarding houses.
Boarding houses or hotels, anything but an apartment's a weird concept of, like, you're living in a hotel or a boarding house, but it's all you and nobody's there to help you.
Right, because, like, when you think of a hotel or a boarding house, it's like, okay, there's a common kitchen, or you're eating in, like, the hotel restaurant,
right?
But it's not like all the home is in, like, separate units.
Yeah, the very apartment.
Right.
Yeah. The idea. I wonder.
I don't know if I'd ever even thought about how that word worked.
I wonder if this is going to be like a meditation on the ennui of disassociation from your fellow person, and it's
right,
going to be like
you're like, oh, I'm living in this, like, big building because
yes.
You think you're gonna have, like, all these friends and stuff, but it's a departure from the boarding house experience, so you're just with strangers who you don't see or interact with.
You're just
Do you have
alone.
friends in your complex?
I do. I have friends because my kids made friends.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Right. So then they made me make friends with parents, which is one of the great things about kids. They're the best icebreakers.
Sure.
But otherwise, yeah, I would be in a large apartment, essentially.
I don't know anybody in my apartment complex.
You don't?
Except my apartment, my manager.
Do you have a roommate?
Apartment manager. No.
Oh, wow. So you're really an apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this will speak to you. Maybe we'll cry at the end of this. I have no idea what kind of genre this is.
I don't even know. Yeah, what are we about to see? I'm like envisioning. Okay, I don't even remember what year it is.
1960. I know that part.
Okay, you just said that.
I know it's 1960. I know it's less than 2 hours. Those are the two things I care about.
I'm envisioning like black and white.
Yeah.
Obviously, there have to be like different neighbors.
I figure it's like an art housey thing because at that time either it was a huge ass epic and it had something to do with the Bible. Or it was, like a play.
How many Bible movies have won Oscars?
Well, I've seen Ben-Hur recently, so that's why that's on top of my brain.
Is that a Bible movie? I thought
it
was a
turns out
movie.
it's a gay movie about Jesus. I had no idea. Yeah. There's gladiators in it. They love each other.
Is there a buff Jesus?
Jesus you only see the back of his head, which is a very interesting choice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Jesus as a hairstyle. Anyway,
how many Oscar winners are like pretty gay?
So far, like 3
okay.
of the 23 or 24 I've watched have been significantly gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben-Hur, American Beauty, both significantly gay. And then I would throw one of these 1930s comedies I watched in there. You can't take it with you.
I'm kind of sad we're not doing something from like way back in the day. I should watch more pre-code movies.
The 1930s are great, except for Gone with the Wind. Don't watch that. It's awful.
That's also long.
It's
I'm
very
glad we
long.
picked a short one.
Yeah, we're good. We're good here. All right, well, let's dive into it. Let's watch The Apartment.
Sounds great.
I love MGM because I can set the audio level based on the lion. Like, too many modern movies start in complete silence and you don't know what you're dealing with until it's too late. What? Okay. So we have Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine.
Looks like we're in New York.
And Fred McMurray from My Three Sons.
I don't know who any of those people are.
You don't? Okay, Jack Lemmon, Grumpy Old Men.
Okay, I vaguely know who that is, but I couldn't pick him out of the lineup.
Shirley MacLaine famously delved into her past lives and was just like a redheaded. She was in Guarding Tess. She was Tess in Guarding Tess.
I don't know what that is either.
Okay.
I have very poor film history.
Oh, it's a Billy Wilder movie. Okay, so this is going to be a comedy. Which is...
I feel like when you said The Apartment, I guess it could have been like indie Amelie style, but like, sure, you can envision.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. It's a comedy. We almost never get comedies.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, I mean, I assume, based on there being funny people in it.
The only problem is I can't always get in when I want.
Bachelor living in a beautiful brownstone.
Yeah, for $85 a month. Sorry.
Sure, yeah. Less than a quarter of his income.
Jeez, in Manhattan.
Cut it out, Sylvia. You've got to get out of here.
Well, what's the panic? We're going to have another martini.
Oh, please, Sylvia, it's 8:45.
Well, first you can't wait to get me here, then it's rush. Makes a person feel cheap.
Sylvia, sweet, it's not that, but I promised the guy I'd be out of here by 8 o'clock positively.
What guy? Whose apartment is this anyway?
What's the difference? Some schluck that works in the office.
Oh, God.
So he's like renting out, he's like Airbnb-ing his apartment
Yes.
for his boss to have affairs in?
Yep. He invented Airbnb.
Congratulations.
Good evening, Mr. Bax.
Well, now the apartment's even
Some
cheaper.
weather we're having. Must be from all that Michigas at Cape Canaveral. Is the place?
Yeah. How much? 70 cents.
You walk around with martinis?
What is this, New Orleans?
What's those things?
What was the cab? 30 cents?
Also, he has
Thanks, lady.
4 glasses for 2 people, which I do respect.
Yes. With salted ribs.
Atta girl.
Also, I'm very into this white stole.
Can't think of a better one.
I'm budging into your mother in the middle of the night.
Don't worry about the old lady. One squawk from her, she's out of a job.
Oh, that's just rude.
Is that Jack Lemmon?
Yes.
Okay.
Get the key, will you? Not there. Under the mat.
I need your map.
Come on. Open up. We haven't got all night.
God, man.
This is your money's apartment?
That's right. Children, he's at it again.
Like those guys don't even watch TV; they just listen to their neighbor bone.
I have lived in an apartment building like that, where like the primary form of entertainment was the downstairs neighbors going at it all the time. Oh. That's an aggressive fall. Those leaves are really tumbling. Has any profession been less respected in movies than life insurance? I feel like if life insurance comes up in a movie, whoever's doing that sucks. Like, that's what the movie's saying.
Any kind of insurance, I feel like, is just like a
Yeah.
just like a symbol of like
Shorthand for...
the tedium of capitalism.
Yes. Exactly. And like life insurance is the worst.
Yeah,
They're
because
sure
it's playing on people's fears and sadness.
Watch the door, please. Blast it off.
Yep. Manic pixie dream girl. She's even got a pixie cut.
Is that
What did you do here?
okay?
It's making me nervous, so I chopped it off. Big mistake, huh?
Oh, I don't like it.
You've got a lulu.
Yeah, better not get too close.
I never get cold.
Really? I was reading some figures from the Sickness and Accident Claims Division. You know that the average New Yorker between the ages of 20 and 50 has 2.5 colds a year.
That makes me feel just terrible.
Why?
Well, to make the figures come out even, if I had no colds a year, some poor slob must have 5 colds a year.
Yeah, it's me.
Should have stayed in bed this morning.
You should have stayed in bed last night.
19. Watch your step. And watch your hands, Mr. Kirkby.
I beg your pardon?
One of these days, I'm going to shut these doors on you and...
Yeah,
Did she just threaten to cut off his dick with
Yes,
an
she
elevator
did.
door? I love this movie.
Yes, instant fan.
That's not the building. I'm a pretty good operator myself. She just won't give me a tumble, date-wise. Maybe you used the wrong approach. Yeah, a lot of guys around here have tried it. All kinds of approaches. No dice. What's she trying to prove? Well, could be she's just a nice, respectable girl who's making something. Listen to him. Little Lord Fauntleroy.
That's such a good insult. Why are we using that anymore?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe our misogyny dropped.
If any, Baron Trump is like the ultimate Little Lord
Yes, he is.
Right?
Yes.
Why have we not done that yet? I guess because he's a child and not responsible for the actions of the adults around him. But, you know,
I'm saving
I think
it.
he'll be okay.
As soon as he's 18.
But then he'll be a big Lord
Oh,
Fauntleroy.
Witty boy. I was just about to call you.
How do you know where I live?
Oh, well, you know who you live with. Sister.
I hired a private
I
dick.
know when you were born and where.
You're blowing
I know
it, bro.
lots of things about you.
How come?
Oh, a couple months ago, I looked up your card in the group insurance file. I know your height.
Wait.
They just know
That's when you run.
You had bumps, had measles, and you had your appendix out.
Don't mention the appendix to the fellas in the office, okay? I wouldn't want them to get the wrong idea about how you found out. Bye.
Okay.
I get it.
It's incredible that she took that on the chin. Like, unbelievable.
Like, he's just gonna murder her now.
I know.
Did they even have healthcare privacy laws back then?
No. Oh, cool. I like that we're shifting to her perspective.
Oh my god, I want to go to this place.
Yeah, lychee lighting.
It's like, and those puffer fish. It's like amazing cheesy tiki bar in New York in a basement. This looks amazing. I wonder where it was shot. And if it's still around.
The second answer has to be no. In New York?
I don't know.
Good evening, Mr. Sheldrick.
You never know.
Please, Fred, that's so honored.
Oh my god.
Still afraid someone might see us
You
together?
didn't see this coming?
No.
No.
I
I
knew
didn't.
immediately when she said she had plans.
Oh.
Can I have a frozen daiquiri?
It's on the way. I see you went ahead and cut your hair.
That's right.
You know I like it better long.
I know.
Fuck you,
Want to
asshole.
carry in your wallet?
Evening, lady. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
How long has
I
it
think
been?
there's nothing worse in life than a man who says he would prefer you with long hair.
I missed you.
Well, did he go to see Music Man?
But how is the show? The next 20 minutes is just a review of the Music Man.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Hey, $1 was a lot back then. 1/85th of your rent.
You'll be able to pay for 2 secretaries' cab rides.
Would you mind? CC Baxter, that's me.
Oh, I like that. Second administrative assistant. Sounds nice and made up.
Oh, look at that office view, though.
Yeah. That's good. Oh, he looks out over the people he used to work with. That's cool.
Hi, buddy boy. Congratulations on all that jazz.
I think we're in a tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, you made it.
I think this is not going to turn out good.
office, name the door.
They're all there.
Teamwork, that's what counts in an organization like this.
This is so gross.
One for all.
Full field of Eskimo brothers.
That's a big idea.
Or like
Sorta.
Eskimo igloo brothers, I guess
Yeah.
you would call them.
And why are you locking us out?
Yes, exactly. Igloo
It's sort of
Brothers.
rough the past few weeks.
You know how we all been banging broads in your small one-bedroom apartment, son?
Swapping spit through the liquor bottles and other fluids on the sheets.
All right, so you got yourself a girl. That's okay with us, but not every night in the week.
What's a Tom and Jerry? Do you know?
I want to say there's Sailor Jerry in it. Tom Collins with Sailor Jerry in it?
It's just Gin and Sailor Jerry.
Oh,
Whoa!
wow, we went season 5 of that
Does somebody strip in Mad Men?
then. Yeah, I remember his second wife does that like almost striptease at his own Christmas party.
Oh, she sings the sexy French song. I do remember.
Give
Yeah.
me a break, will you? How about tomorrow afternoon? I can't take her to that drive-in again. The car doesn't even have a heater. 4 o'clock, okay?
He took that as a yes.
I want to go to every bar in this movie
I
so
know,
far.
seriously. God. Have you ever actually drank like 4 martinis in a night?
I've had 1 martini and vomited that night. Not like anyway, yeah, but 1 martini is a...
So he went 7 here.
Ah, that's so clever. This is really...
After having 4 drinks at the office.
Yeah, I think he's actually just dead now.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is hell.
I remember one night I had 4 martinis and like 3 Guinness, and I was like almost hospitalized. And in movies, people toss off like,
Also, he's coherent, which seems difficult.
right. Oh, please shoot a spitball at him. Yes.
Oh, okay.
This does seem fun.
And that fur.
This is totally what I would do if I was drunk at a bar.
Yeah.
Start spitting wrappers at somebody.
It is a little environmentally unsustainable.
Yeah.
All
Nobody's
those
going to give
straws.
you that many straws now.
Yeah, people would look at you.
Well, you could just throw the paper straws.
If you buy me a drink, I'll buy you some music. Ron Collins.
She seems really cool too.
I know.
Collins and I don't know why these little mothers.
8? Bro. Unless he was doubling the olives up, but even then.
What if he just asked for 8 olives in a cup?
Did she just crank up Adeste Fidelis?
I mean, how do you feel about Castro?
What is Castro?
You know, that big shot down in Cuba with the crazy beard.
What about it?
Because as far as I'm concerned, he's a no good thing. 2 weeks ago, I wrote him a letter. Never even answered. All I wanted him to do was a Mickey after Christmas.
Who's with Mickey?
My husband. He's in Havana, in jail.
You stepping that revolution?
Mickey would do nothing like that. He's a jockey. They caught him doping a horse.
Well, can't win him all.
Now this is a good couple.
It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. Nothing.
I wonder if...
Dolesville. You married?
No.
Family?
No.
A night like this, it sort of spooks you walking to an empty apartment.
I said I had no family. I didn't say I had an empty apartment.
Oh my god, is this movie gonna... Are they gonna Me Too?
No, they're not gonna Me Too. I think I have a guess, and it's really bad.
Fine, thank you. Mrs. Sheldrake, I was wondering if we could have lunch together. Well, I don't know how important it is, but I think you might find it educational. It concerns your husband. All right, 1 o'clock, Longshanks, Madison and 59. Don't worry, I'm on my way. Just making a personal call.
All the coats are so good.
Yeah, right?
Man, 1960s really had their coats down.
Going down.
It's true. It's like the golden age of coats. And hats, really.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do a hat, that was...
Just fashion in general, I feel like if we all had to live in one era, 60s would be okay.
I'm glad you're here. I was just going to get the pass key.
What for?
I thought I smelled gas coming from your apartment.
Oh, fuck. Seriously?
Miss Shirley! Miss Shirley!
Leave him alone!
Damn fool.
Come on, friend.
Goodbye, Mr. Baxter.
Happy Boxing Day. Sorry.
Nice.
I don't
Nice
wanna go.
Boxing Day reference.
Between us, you had it coming to you.
Oh, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Boy, it took me a minute. Alright.
Almost as long as it took me to come up with it.
Get my bag.
Well, the people on the podcast will enjoy it.
Don't bother, Doc. I'm going to bed.
Aww. He's in Wub. It's still a spaghetti.
Oh.
How is that not dry as fuck?
Because it's A metaphor. Metaphors keep things wet.
Oh, is she wearing the Queen of England's jewels on her head? Looks like a crown. They're all wearing crowns. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I took so long on the phone, but we're all set.
All set for what?
I rented a car. To be here at 1 o'clock. We're driving down to Atlantic City.
Atlantic City.
Well, I know it's a drag, but you can't find a hotel room in town on New Year's Eve.
Ring out the old year, ring in the new, ring a ding ding.
I didn't plan it this way, Fran. Actually, it's all Baxter's fault.
Baxter?
Hey, he wouldn't give me the key to the apartment.
He wouldn't?
No, he just walked out. Quit. Threw that big fat job right in my face.
The nerve.
Yeah, the punk. After all I did for him. Said I couldn't bring anybody to the apartment. Especially not Miss Kimberly. What's he got against you anyway?
I don't know. I guess that's the way it grows. Cookie wise.
What are you talking about?
I'd spell it out for you, only I can't spell.
God, callback theater.
I want to go to this party also.
I know. Are they in the Chinese bar? They are.
Man, drinking in the 60s seems like it was awesome.
Way more fun. Wow, that was hot. Hell yeah! You go!
Yeah, you go, girl! Yes!
Yes!
You running that fur!
Oh no, don't be too late. No.
I'm fine.
Are you sure? How's your knee?
I'm fine all over.
All over?
Let me get another ball.
Where are you going?
Well, who knows? Another neighborhood, another town, another job. I want my own.
That's funny, so am I. What'd you do with the cards?
In there. What about Mr. Sheldrake?
You sent him a fruitcake every Christmas?
That's one way to say fuck him.
I love you, Miss Kubrick.
3. Queen.
Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubrick? I absolutely adore you.
Shut up and deal.
Yes!
Yes!
I love when movies end
Oh
like
my
this.
god!
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. That might be my favorite movie. My new favorite movie.
I loved that. That was so great.
Cannot believe how good that was. Like on every level.
So here's what I was afraid of.
Right.
I really couldn't tell if it was going to end good or end bad.
Yeah.
And I was really afraid that the secretary was going to go to the wife, and then the wife was going to have her committed to a mental institution.
Oh,
that was
wow.
because that feels like it could have happened in the 60s.
Totally could have. Would have been a very strong turn into the secretary's story for the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, I love that the secretary wasn't evil and just did like a complete, just like let the wife know.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of like a mini Me Too.
Yeah,
because she was just like, no, he's not going to get away with this anymore. Someone has to speak out.
Yeah.
But instead of to the press, it was to his wife. And then, just like in real life, he gets booted out and he learns nothing.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, well, I've got backup.
He's going to enjoy being a bachelor again.
Okay.
Like a complete jerk.
Usually for the movies that I'm pretty sure not everybody has recently seen, we try to recap the plot. This one has so much plot, but let's see what we can do here.
So I was at screenwriting, I went to a bunch of screenwriting panels.
Uh-huh.
And so I feel like I got this handled.
Take it away.
It has a lot of classic plot points.
Oh, take it away. I want to hear this classically broken down.
So CC Baxter is an underling, and all he wants is to advance in his career. He wants a better job on a higher floor where he's not in the bullpen all the time. Mm-hmm. And so to do that, he started letting all the higher-ups at his office use his apartment to have affairs in. Mostly with their secretaries, it seems like.
Yep.
So,
well, there was also the switchboard operator.
Yeah, the switchboard operator, various women working in the building.
Right.
And so...
And Baxter, by the way, played by Jack Lemmon.
Yes.
In full schnook mode. Just total kind of underling, weakling.
Yeah.
But very
manic. Low status.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Low status and manic. And he has a crush on this elevator operator played by Shirley MacLaine. Mm-hmm. And then one night, there's some issue with the apartment handoff. As we said before, very Airbnb. It's he's renting it, but if Airbnb was hourly. And so he gets locked out of his apartment. He has to spend a night on a park bench in the cold, and he gets a cold. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't really play into anything, except that he gets... somebody else hears about what he's doing, and he gets a set of theater tickets. Oh, it's not just somebody else. It's the director. Big boss. Yeah, the head honcho.
Yeah.
So the head honcho wants to use his apartment.
Played by Fred McMurray, by the way. Total straight man mode, not flubber mode.
Yep.
Yeah, he was the nutty professor, the original nutty professor.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. He's a very you're very villain.
Oh, yeah, he's usually not. He was the dad in My Three Dads. Mm-hmm. He was friendly everyman, so this was a weird villain turn for him.
So Baxter goes to the theater, and he offers a ticket to Shirley MacLaine, mm-hmm. and she says she'll go, but then she stands him up because she's having an affair with...
Dun, dun, dun.
Head honcho.
Head honcho, that's right.
And so...
Classic love triangle.
Yes. And she leaves her compact in the couch, and then later
at the apartment.
There's a crazy 1960s Christmas party.
We're talking the Titanic part where they're dancing on the tables.
Yeah, there's dancing on the tables. There's pouring martinis into various office machinery. There's a lot of confusing 1960s office machinery. Is it a pneumatic tube or something?
Yeah. They're putting vodka in it, which honestly sounds like the best science experiment ever.
Yeah, and then the pneumatic tube gets drunk. So, so Baxter is at this party and he's flirting with Shirley MacLaine, and he needs to look at his hat in a mirror because he just bought a new hat, mm-hmm. and so she gives him the compact, and he realizes that she was the one in his apartment, this woman he's had a crush on. And she has this really great line about how she likes that it's broken, mm-hmm. because it makes her look like she feels.
Yes.
There's so much the dialogue in this is exceptional, especially all of her conversations with this married guy she's
totally
having the affair with.
It's written and directed by Billy Wilder, who I'm shocked I haven't gotten... Is this the only Oscar he won? I'll look that up while you keep going, because he's notoriously great at writing this kind of thing. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they have a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back to the apartment at some point, and
you mean Head
on
Honcho
Christmas Eve? Yeah.
And Shirley MacLaine have a fight, at the coolest Chinese
bar in
ever.
history. It looks amazing. It's like a Chinese tiki bar.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a place, if you live in Los Angeles, the Good Luck.
Okay.
Feels a little bit like it.
Okay.
It's a really great, like, it feels very like Chinese tiki.
Yeah.
And it's pretty old too.
Yeah, it definitely looked like the best bar ever.
If you, next time you come to LA, we'll go.
Okay.
And so they have a fight at the Chinese restaurant, but then he says he's gonna leave his wife, and at some point it's Christmas Eve and they go back to Baxter's place, and she gives him a record from the Chinese restaurant. It's like connected to the Chinese restaurant in some way, and then he clearly didn't get her anything, and he just gives her $100 bill. And she gets really upset and she kicks him out, and she's like, I'm just gonna like freshen my face and then I'm gonna leave. But instead she takes a bunch of Baxter's sleeping pills, and so he gets back with another girl he's hooking up with, who we never really get back to, but there's a really funny bit where he's hooking up with a sad lady who's in a bar whose husband is locked up in Cuba for some reason.
Yeah, because he was drugging his horse. He was like giving his horse steroids, and he was a jockey.
I thought she said he was a junkie.
No, he was a jockey. That's
I heard he was a junkie.
No,
and
he's 5'2", 99 pounds.
Okay, that makes more sense maybe than junkie, I guess, in 1960. But so basically Baxter's neighbors think he's this like ladies' man because they always hear people having sex in his apartment, even though he never gets to have sex. So he brings this other woman home, and Shirley MacLaine is like passed out in his bed, and he thinks she might be dead. And fortunately, his neighbor is a doctor, so he knocks on his neighbor's door, and his neighbor comes over, and using a series of slaps and shots and smelling salts, they revive Shirley MacLaine, and she has to stay with Baxter for a couple days, and he tends to her, and then there's like this weird, extremely honest plot line where he tells her he tried to commit suicide once.
Yes!
With a gun.
With a gun!
And then, oh, right, we have to see, okay. And then, he only was able to shoot himself in the leg.
Yeah.
So they have some tender moments. He makes spaghetti and he strains it through a tennis racket, which is amazing. And then ultimately, nothing happens. They part on good terms, except her brother-in-law comes over to the apartment and punches out Baxter and takes her home with him.
Pretty much the interesting thing about this plot is that anytime anybody shows up to the apartment besides Baxter, it's very inconvenient. Nobody ever shows up in a convenient way. It always screws with Baxter somehow when they show up to his apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
But people also generally act rationally. Like, you're worried something crazy and dramatic. And things do, but it's like people generally act like humans.
There's an amazing set piece where when she's dying and the doctor comes over, that could have been totally played for slapstick, and I think if this movie were made today, they would have found a way to play it for slapstick somehow. But they took it very seriously, and it was treated like, oh, this woman is in medical distress and needs help.
And they turn the music off.
Yeah.
And
it was really tastefully done, I guess is the only way I can say it.
Yeah, and the doctor's like, oh, they try it again, and so you're worried for the rest of the movie about Shirley MacLaine, whose feelings are all man, it's we've all been there to some degree or another.
Oh God, that part
with the wrong person, and
I can't disclose on the podcast how close that part feels, but yeah, there's some stuff that where she's talking about the plight of dating a married man that I think most of us have been in a relationship at one point or another where the other person wasn't really available, whether it was literally in this sense or just the heartbreak of chasing someone who's not really there.
Yeah.
Whether it's summer love or
She has a line that also says, if you're dating a married man, don't wear mascara.
Yeah.
And that's also a great line.
She's just bawling and wiping it off her face constantly. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so after this all happens, the reason she got so upset is one of his secretary, the big head honcho asshole's secretary, basically warns her that this guy has slept with like all the women in just a parade of women, and that he always tells them that he's gonna leave his wife. Yep. And that he never does, and it's just like the same story over and over. And she kind of doesn't believe. And then the secretary listens to a call, because Baxter calls head honcho to tell him Shirley MacLaine tried to kill herself. Mm-hmm. And the secretary listens to the call and calls head honcho's wife.
Yeah, immediately decides enough is enough.
Yeah, and we don't really see what happens there, but then head honcho like shows up in the office with all his luggage. Yep. Because his wife kicked him out, and good for her. Yeah. Good for all the women. The doctor has this amazing wife who comes over and like feeds Shirley MacLaine soup in one scene.
All the women in this are strong. Even the like ditzy phone operator gets some really good lines in about how badly she's being treated by one of the bosses who's using the apartment.
Yeah, she's like really tall, and he took her out to a drive-in in a Volkswagen. And at some point she's like, I told him, you either got to get a bigger car or a smaller girl. So like she's great, and all like the women seem like they like have strong friendships with each other, and like none of them are like vindictive towards each other. It's all like supportive, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very like it's very boys' club on one end, because I mean the men are also kind of have each other's back until the end when it falls apart. Yeah. When the philandering superiors send the brother-in-law to the apartment expressly to get Baxter beat up just because he wouldn't like kowtow to them. That was like when their side started to break down, but the women never broke down. Yeah. And
so on New Year's Eve, he tells the head honcho tells Shirley MacLaine he's gonna leave his wife for good, and they finally go out together to a New Year's party. But before that, he tells Baxter he needs the key to his apartment so he can have his New Year's Eve tryst with Shirley MacLaine. And Baxter gives him, he's just been promoted.
Mm-hmm. Right? To like assistant director, like all the way to the top.
He has he was promoted once before, but now he has an even higher office. Mm-hmm. And he basically refuses to give head honcho the key to his apartment, and he quits his job. Yes. And he throws down the stupid hat that he bought.
It's one of the most satisfying take this job and shove it. Because he doesn't make too many big speeches or anything. It's just like he's been beaten up the whole ing. And finally he says no. Yeah. It feels real good.
Yeah. And so he goes and he starts to move out of his apartment. And then Shirley MacLaine and head honcho are at their New Year's Eve party. Bar. Yeah. And he says, oh, we're going to have to get a hotel down in New Jersey. Ugh, am I right, ladies? And then he says, because Baxter wouldn't give me the key. And she says, really? He wouldn't give you? And she instantly knows what it means.
Yep. And then she literally
runs through the streets of New York
graduate
in a fur
style
coat.
Yeah.
And that's so satisfying also when you see her running and she gets to his apartment, and there's a horrible moment where you hear a bang and you wonder, because they set up this plot where he tried to shoot himself once. Yeah. And then he opens the door and he just opened a bottle of champagne. And they drink the champagne and they play gin rummy. Yep. And they don't even kiss. They don't even kiss.
The movie's over because you know they're good.
They're in the same frame and they're playing gin rummy.
Yep. And she finally accepts their togetherness.
Yeah. Oh, it's so satisfying.
That
was a great movie. I am genuinely delighted.
It was definitely one of those where the acting, the directing, and the writing all were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and Jack Lemmon, who I don't watch a lot of old movies. You're like, oh, you can see how these guys became stars because he's got that who's the modern Jack Lemmon? I wonder.
Oh gosh,
kind of it's like
the modern young Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's a really good question. Somebody who plays
who's real talky,
like a nebbish but leading man.
Yeah. Who's a nebbish? Is it Adam Driver? Maybe is a little off kilter. But
no, he's not that weird. Who's the guy? This is a little while ago now. But the really tall guy who I can't think of his name from Freaks and Geeks. Jason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who plays Marshall on How I Met Your Mother, whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. That guy. He seems to have that like combination of like manly enough to be a leading man, but still like always on the losing end of the stick and funny about it and heartwarming and yeah.
Who's the guy from the IT Crowd who is the romantic lead in like Bridesmaids?
Oh yeah.
Maybe even Bill Hader. I feel like Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. Oh, totally Bill Hader.
Bill Hader is like our modern Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Because especially with the voice work, because Jack Lemmon's known for the way he uses his voice and everything. It's perfect.
And Shirley MacLaine is so great. Like,
fantastic.
When she just almost killed her, and you're like, oh man, you're with her. You're like, girl, we know.
Oh my god, this totally made up for her appearing in blackface in Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh no.
I'm back on Shirley. It wasn't her fault. She was just taking a job. But yeah, that's the last time I saw her in this podcast. Was playing a princess from Bombay.
Oh no.
Yeah. And we didn't even know it was her when we were watching, because we were just like, oh, some poor white actress is... Yeah, anyway. So yeah, she was great. Fred MacMurray was a great villain.
Yeah.
Because he was just so... You know what he played? He did play a like conniving villain. He wasn't like overtly evil. The way he played it that made it even more villainous was that he played it that of course he deserved all this.
Yeah.
Of course this is the way the world works. And of course he gets to do... There's no like mustache twirling. It's more just he assumes he gets whatever he wants in the world, and that is the chilling thing that everybody's fighting.
At one point she confronts him about all these other women, and he's like, yeah, well, I mean, when a guy runs around with a lot of girls, what does it mean? He's not happy at home. He's like, I'm not happy. And he's like playing this sad boy,
plays
trouble
the
at
sad
home.
boy card. I mean, a lot of this feels so contemporary.
It really does. And
Yeah.
I guess that kind of bums me out, because I'm like, man, I thought we'd gotten over that kind of asshole, I guess, is just never going to go away.
Well, what's weird about this movie, from a cultural standpoint, is that the sexual harassment in the workplace part, totally contemporary. I mean, it's literally the Me Too movement in a different time and period. But like, the difference is that there was nothing protecting these women. There was no like.
Yeah, he fires
laws.
his secretary.
Just fires his secretary, and she has to take it. He slaps the secretary or the Shirley MacLaine's butt on the way, or one.
Oh
of them
yeah,
does.
that's right.
On the way out, she just has to accept it with good humor. The like kind of bravery and take it on the chin of the women just to exist in this is fully on display, and and then the double standard also shows, because there's a moment for Jack Lemmon's character when he finds out Shirley MacLaine was the one in the apartment with the broken compact mirror.
Yeah.
Where he does kind of go, oh, you're just another hoe.
Yeah.
Like he kind of falls out of flirt with her. He even like has a little fake monologue to himself about it. How like, I used to like you, but now I know you're a hoe.
And then she describes all the terrible men she's been with.
Yeah.
And her like sad romantic history, and he's like, well, how many men was it?
Yeah, he cares. Like, and so, yeah, the time and space is totally horrifying for women, but the outcome is weirdly and refreshingly positive.
Yeah.
Somehow, against all the odds, the right people get the right things, and the wrong people get hurt. Mm-hmm. Well, a little bit.
And I like his doctor neighbor who's like, tells him to be a mensch, which is just a human being.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he tells his boss to be a mensch. He's like, I'm just trying to be a human being.
There are so many callbacks and references in this movie. He references his own movies. He talks about, he has a Marilyn Monroe impersonator at one point with Jack Lemmon in the movie that's like a clear callback to Some Like It Hot. And then there's a throwaway line at one point where they say it looks like he's having a lost weekend, which was like his other Academy Award winning movie. So
there's a movie called The Lost Weekend.
Yeah, from the late 40s, I think. So yeah, I think he was in full just like showing off mode with this movie. At this point, Billy Wilder was pretty well understood to be a genius. And
I'm going to go watch a bunch of Billy Wilder movies.
He's so good.
And I also want to know who wrote it.
He did.
Yeah.
He
wrote and directed. Okay.
Yeah, he writes and directs all his... Well, he is more a writer. He wrote Sunset Boulevard.
Which I still haven't seen.
Yeah, which you also have to see.
Of course I have to see it.
Yeah. And...
Because I live right off of near Sunset
I'm
Boulevard.
shocked that not only did I not see this movie earlier, because I'm a huge fan, I didn't even know this was him. I think it was the name of it that made it fly under the radar. It just sounded boring, or...
Yeah, the apartment, it does sound a little like The Roomie.
Yeah.
Right?
Like...
Where you're like, oh, it all takes place in one room. And you imagine a lot of people, like, staring out of windows, I feel like, when you hear it.
Exactly, like a My Dinner with Andre type thing. We're like, oh, it's going to be real talky. And, like, no, this was, like... kind of like a really tasteful episode of Frasier in terms of like the slapstick and the comings and the goings and the like.
It's genuinely really funny.
Yeah, totally. One undersung person who I had to look up is that wife of the jockey who...
Oh yeah, she was great.
Baxter ends up with on that drunken night. She totally steals the movie.
Yes.
Which is hard to do because everybody's on all cylinders.
They have a hilarious scene where they dance together and their cheeks are just pressed together and they're both
not
like
holding
so
each other at
sad
all.
looking. It's like amazing. It's really weird but very funny.
She shoots him with like 9 straw wrappers. It's just brilliant. Anyway, that's it. I thought, oh, she's probably some huge comedic actress. That's the only thing she's known for. And I'm like, that's a tragedy. Because she was so good.
Really good.
Ugh. You have to watch this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, even though we just gave away the plot.
Yeah, we give it 4 out of 4 stars.
4 out of 3.5 stars. Like,
yeah.
I'll give it the extra half star. Just for the costumes and the 1960s New Yorkness of it, too.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting to watch like an office comedy from that era because I feel like my only touch point for that is like Mad Men.
Yeah.
But this is actually from the 1960s.
Yeah, at one point during the watch, I think during the office party, you pointed out that this is literally season 1 of Mad Men.
Yeah.
Contemporary.
I mean, I'm sure they like went back and watched a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know, the set designers and everything. But
yeah. It's so well done.
And they just have so much stuff on their desks in the offices. They've got like Rolodexes and files, and there are weird filing cabinets. And
those cool drawers for like the accounting ledger paper.
Yeah.
I kind of drooled over those. I have no need for them, but I want them anyway.
And sometimes they're like pulling up big sheets of paper, and you're like, are they doing a bit, or is that just what it was like in the 60s?
It's hard to tell.
It's probably like a little...
Yeah. If you like the feeling of schedules getting set, you will love the first act of this movie.
Yeah, it was. It did feel like some of it
very
was a little like...
satisfying scheduling. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you just had to make a plan and show up somewhere, and you couldn't just text somebody and be like...
Oh, God. No, the one time somebody gets ghosted in this movie, it's honestly breaks 2 people apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. Anyway, gosh, Ella, do you have anything you want to plug while you're in town? This is going out tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, please come to Sure Thing on Friday at 9:30.
Awesome. And live at Cold Town.
Yes.
At 10 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Do both. People can look up for you, socials or whatever.
Follow me on Twitter at Ella Gale.
Mm-hmm. Get it?
Get it?
I remember the glorious days before this administration when having a Twitter handle that made you say "get it" at the end was like kind of one of the joys of life.
Mm-hmm.
And
did
now
you read they're taking away likes?
What?
It's only going to be retweets and replies.
Wait,
this is another conversation, but
then what do you do with Twitter?
I think they're only thinking about it from the perspective of like news. I don't know. It seems dumb. So it's going to kill jokes on Twitter for sure.
I know. Why don't they do like a Reddit style up down vote? Okay. Well, I'm upset about Twitter now, which I never thought would happen again since I unfollowed everybody.
Maybe it won't happen.
Yeah, maybe not. I'll have to get my like juice somewhere else. Maybe from this podcast. Hey, this is a good reminder that you should rate us and I guess retweet us now. Don't bother liking our shit. And, tell people about the podcast. It's a weird, quirky thing and it needs word of mouth. But I think we've only got 70 episodes to go. So you don't have much longer to jump on board. Ella, thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah, thank you. What a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll see you guys all later. Bye.